You know those days when life just keeps throwing curveballs at you? Maybe your kid is starting a new school, maybe they're starting a new grade, maybe your baby is going through a 4-month sleep regression, maybe you're juggling a new job, and suddenly you're just scrambling to keep your head above water, you're feeling totally overwhelmed. If that's you, I have been there too. And today I want to share some of the things that actually help me stay sane and keep our family grounded while everything around us just feels like complete chaos. Hey friends, it's so good to see you again. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Eva. I am a mom of 3, and this is where I talk about all things wellness and well-being, especially when you're in the thick of motherhood. So whether you are dealing with postpartum stuff, or maybe you're just trying to figure out how to survive everyday mom life, maybe you're juggling a few toddlers, you're definitely in the right place. When our third baby was born earlier this year, oh my gosh, our whole world just turned upside down. I mean, we knew that it would be crazy. Like, we were prepared for it, but nothing really prepares you for the reality, you know? I remember bringing her home the first night, and I had an episiotomy with this delivery because she was almost 10 pounds. So it was my toughest delivery of the 3. And my pain meds had started wearing off, and I started feeling the pain. And at the same time, my baby was screaming because she was hungry and my milk hadn't fully come in yet. And my middle child, who's never had a bathroom accident in her entire life, all of a sudden had a bathroom accident that very same night that we brought our baby home. And I just sat there thinking, this is going to be so much harder than I thought. My 2 older kids were 3 and 5 at the time of their sister's birth, so they were still babies themselves. But I kept trying to just stick to their normal routine, you know, because I wanted their world to kind of feel stable. So that meant, you know, school drop-offs and dance classes and all that stuff. And meanwhile, honestly, all I wanted to do was I wanted to curl up with my baby and just sleep for like a day, okay, without anybody asking me for anything. Because first of all, I was just really tired, and then I was also in a lot of pain from the delivery. But mom life doesn't pause, right? So I couldn't pause. I just kept pushing through until we slowly found our groove again. And then summer came around, and you know, everything changed again. So the routine changed again. Most of the days, most of the time, my family was together. I was with my girls. So between, you know, swimming lessons and we're a bilingual family, so I do like a little bit of homeschooling in Russian for them. And so, and I also like try to teach my older kid how to ride a bike. So like it was just jam-packed. And so right when I thought, okay, I think I have a handle on this, September rolls around. Now that is bringing with it a whole new set of changes. So my older one is starting grade 1 French immersion. Okay, she's in a Catholic school and she's going to be doing French immersion. My middle kid is starting junior kindergarten for the first time. So this is going to be like just a bunch of emotions for the both of us, for her and for myself. And then the French immersion thing is going to be really interesting because I'll have to basically help out with homework in a language that I barely speak. I don't know French very well. I know just like the very bare minimum. But so this is going to be just a bunch of changes for all of us. And also my 6-month-old is going to be starting solid. So that's going to be a whole routine shift and schedule changes. And you know, on top of everything else, my husband is starting a new job, and his schedule is going to be a little bit different. So everything is just, we're kind of like in the middle of like all the chaos of all the routine changes, and it could be overwhelming if I let myself be overwhelmed. But here's what I realized. Life with kids isn't about controlling the schedule or about finding the perfect schedule. It's about learning how to feel grounded when things around you are so chaotic. And one of the biggest changes has been anticipating that change before it occurs and preparing myself for it, which brings me to tip number 1. So the very first thing that I do when I know that our routine is gonna flip upside down is I start practicing it a little bit early. So usually about a week or 2 before the big shift. Like with my girls starting school, I'm gonna start practicing the routine, not everything, but I'm gonna like incorporate little bits and pieces of it a few days early, maybe even a week early. So they're starting in 2 weeks. So next week I'm gonna start, you know, practicing little bits and pieces of the routine. Not just to be prepared, okay, but first of all, to actually see how long it takes, figure out what works, and also like catch those little things that you don't really think about. Like for example, whether your kid can actually open up the lunchbox by themselves. So we use like one of those stainless steel Planet Box lunch boxes. And when they're brand new, there could be kind of like a little bit tough to open and close. So I just want to make sure that her little hands are actually able to do it, because the weird quirk at my kids' schools is the teachers are not actually allowed to assist with lunches. So the kid has to be completely independent to open up and close their lunchbox container. It's the most bizarre thing, but that is just kind of the rule that they have. I also experiment with timing. So do I make the lunches in the morning or do I make it in the evening? So for example, if you like hot meals, maybe mornings would work better for you, but then you need to kind of build in that extra time into your morning routine. For me, I am not much of a morning person. I'm not very productive in the morning, and it takes me a little bit of time to actually wake up. So I know that for me, preparing a lunch in the evening, kind of like prepping it the night before, just less chaotic. Now, when that new routine actually starts, here's what I give myself permission to do. I lower the bar on purpose, okay? So think of this as giving yourself a little permission slip to not be perfect for a while. Your brain is already working overtime just to try to keep up with all the changes, and trying to do everything perfectly on top of everything else is just setting yourself up to feel completely overwhelmed. So what does lowering the bar look like? Well, this is silly, but maybe, use paper plates for dinner. Okay, maybe throw together something super simple like pasta, or let your laundry pile up for a week. Nothing's gonna happen. It's gonna be fine. The point is to save your mental energy for the stuff that actually matters. And same with housework, right? A quick tidy is good enough. If you had plans to deep clean the kitchen, do not plan that for that week, for that first couple of weeks actually in a new routine. You can do that in a month, you can do that in 2 months, just wait until everybody's settled. For example, during that first week of school, I'm not gonna be stressed about making elaborate dinners, okay? I do like to cook, and I do like to make, fun dinners for my family, but I'm gonna try to keep it healthy, but I'll keep it simple. Okay, so I'll make the stuff that doesn't require much thought. I'll make pasta, maybe we'll order a pizza. That way I will have the brain space to just help the kids with their new schedules and make sure that they have everything that they need. Okay, so tip number 3 is keep one familiar anchor the same. In the middle of all this change, one of the most helpful things that you can do is keep at least one thing exactly the same. Like for example, it's a familiar anchor that doesn't budge no matter what else is happening. Kids really need that familiarity because it signals safety and consistency to them, right? It gives them confidence to handle all the new and unpredictable stuff when they know that some things will stay exactly the same. So for us, it's usually on Friday nights, we usually have pizza, and every single night we have a bedtime story routine. No matter what else is shifting, new school schedules, different nap times, my husband's new work schedule, these little rituals, and I call them rituals because they stay exactly the same, and we try our best to kind of adhere to them. The kids have something reliable to look forward to, and it creates a steady rhythm that they can count on even when everything else kind of feels crazy and chaotic. But to be completely honest with you, it's not just for the kids, it's for me too. There's something really grounding almost, knowing that at the end of a really long week of a new schedule, of a new routine, and everyone's adjusting, we're still gonna sit around the table together, we're gonna share a pizza, maybe we'll watch a movie after, and we'll always read a story before bed. Your anchor could be anything, right? People are different and families are different. We're all so wonderfully unique. So maybe for your family, maybe it's like Saturday morning pancakes. Maybe it is, going out for a walk after dinner. The key is keeping it sacred. This one tiny thing, keeping that one familiar anchor, can make such a huge change in just how everybody adjusts to the new routine. Okay, so tip number 4 is to protect a small pocket of your time. So look, when routines change, it's so easy to feel like your entire day belongs to everybody else, right? School runs, work schedules, meal prep, lunch prep, bedtime chaos with the kids, and before you know it, you've completely disappeared from your own day. And that's why I tried my very best to protect one tiny pocket of time that's just mine. And this is a non-negotiable. So for me, I try my very best to wake up a little bit early before the kids and just kind of put myself together and have a coffee and just sit down and actually drink it in peace before the house wakes up. Because I've learned it the hard way. If I don't wake up before my kids, then they end up waking me up, and I just don't feel good for the morning, and even sometimes for the rest of the day. Like I do need that little bit of time to wake up in the morning before I can actually have a conversation with another human being, before I can handle my kids, So that's important for me. No matter what, I try to wake up, whether it's half an hour early, 45 minutes early, maybe honestly 15 minutes early, that's better than nothing. The point I'm trying to make is that when I have this one predictable moment in my day, it helps my brain kind of regulate all the stress from the constant changes that are going on in our lives, right? So for you, maybe it's a quick workout after dinner. Maybe it's reading a chapter before bed no matter what. Maybe it's taking a relaxing bath after you put your kids to sleep. This little bit of predictability helps you recharge and approach everything else with just a bit more calm and clarity. And here's the important part. It doesn't need to be huge, okay? You don't need an hour. What matters is that it's consistent. A small chunk of time every day that is completely yours. Guard it as if it's important as a doctor's appointment, because honestly, it kind of is. This is your way of self-care. Okay, so tip number 5 is embrace the new rhythm once it comes, okay? Here's something that took me way too long to figure out. When a routine changes, your brain goes through this whole adaptation phase, right? All those automatic pathways, the I know what comes next feeling, the consistency and familiarity are just gone, right? And your brain is not happy about it. And that's why transitions feel so exhausting. Your brain is literally working harder to figure out all those new patterns and all the new routines. And the mistake that I used to make was I tried to kind of force everybody back into the old way of doing things right away. And when it didn't work out, I'd get frustrated with myself, with everybody else. And now I just give a few days to just, watch and just see the new rhythm. I'll observe that first week, and then I'll note things like, for example, what time are we actually getting out the door? When are the kids getting cranky? Is it more in the morning or is it more in the evening once it's time for them to go to bed? When am I feeling more cranky? Is it more in the morning, or is it like dinner time when my kids are super hungry and I'm kind of rushing to put dinner on the table? What parts of the day feel smooth and what parts of the day feel more chaotic? Those are the bottlenecks that I look for, right? And then one other thing is I always try to notice, when do I feel myself start to crash? So once I see the natural patterns that are emerging as a result of that new routine, then I make the small tweaks as needed. So for example, if you find that your kids are hyper and energetic right before bed, and maybe they refuse to brush their teeth without throwing a tantrum, maybe move the teeth brushing earlier in the night, maybe after dinner, right? If you notice that your mornings are super hectic and maybe your child can't find their backpack, prep the backpacks the night before and just put them right beside the front entryway. So observe and adjust as needed. So speaking of backpacks and everything else, tip number 6 is prepare stuff in advance. So no matter how tired I am, I always force myself to prep things the night before, because I know that my morning self will thank me for it. So for my girls, I lay out their entire outfits and I hang them on these super simple command hooks that I put up in their room on their wall. These are nothing fancy. They probably cost $2 or $3. It's just little hooks from the hardware store, but these are game changers. So I choose their outfits and I hang them up on the hook, and then in the morning, once my kids actually brush their teeth on their own, they can see that their outfits are there hanging on the wall, and then they can just dress themselves. The backpacks are also packed and sitting by the door, and I always try to just have my lunch already made and in the fridge. I mean, this is what works for us, but it saves me from that morning scramble when everything else is honestly just hectic enough as it is. And also prepping the night before. So I did mention that I'm not much of a morning person, but I do really savor that morning time when I try to wake up in the morning. So if I prep the night before, then that morning time is actually for me. Okay, so I'm not like scrambling, I'm not preparing anything, I'm not, making well, I may make breakfast, but I'm not like making lunches or packing my kids' backpacks and choosing their clothes like in the morning. So like if I do it in the evening, the night before, then that morning I can actually just, spend a little bit more peacefully. And it's actually me time, right? Instead of me being needed by everybody else. So some other make ahead stuff that you can maybe try to do is maybe you can prep breakfast the night before. Okay, so there are a bunch of recipes out there, but overnight oats come to mind. If you're a coffee drinker, maybe set up your coffee to start automatically. Maybe you can fill up water bottles for your kids and for yourself and just stick them in the fridge. Or if you have a little one and you carry a diaper bag, just make sure that it's fully stocked. And this is important, especially like let's say tomorrow you have a doctor's appointment and you need to take your little one for like vaccinations or whatever. Just make sure that the diaper bag is ready to go so that you can just wake up, get your baby, dress them up, and then just get your diaper bag and you are out the door. So you kind of eliminate the morning scramble that way. So the key to all of this is finding a few things that usually cause your mornings to be very chaotic, right? And just do them the night before. And honestly, just knocking them out ahead of time when your brain is clear, when you have a few more minutes, it just makes such a big difference. So tip number 7 is prepare for the energy crash, okay? Some transitions are absolutely exhausting, not just for the kids, but for you as well. And I have learned to plan for the inevitable crash. For example, I don't pack our weekends full of activities during those first few weeks of a new routine. I keep our family calendar very light, and this might look a little different for everybody else. For you, maybe it looks like having some freezer meals ready. Maybe it is scheduling absolutely nothing for Saturday afternoon. Maybe it's making sure that the baby gets that extra nap. And other times it could just be monitoring yourself and when you feel that crash coming on. So for me, I found that I would often start crashing around like 4:30 or 5 p.m., which really sucks because that is the time that I really need to be on top of my game. I need to prep dinner. I need to spend time with my kids. And this is super silly, okay? Probably not a good thing to do, but I've tried even drinking a coffee at like 3:30 or 4 p.m., even like 2 coffees, just so that I can have the energy at 5 instead of crashing. It didn't help, okay? I don't recommend that you try it either. It didn't help. It just made me more jittery. So instead of coffee now, I have a healthy snack around 3 or 4 p.m. just to kind of tie me over and give me that energy boost. So I simply have a little bit of protein and fiber, like cheese and nuts and a little bit of crackers, maybe hummus. And this has worked so much better than just another cup of coffee. So it's small things like this that make such a huge difference in how smoothly you adjust to things. So there you have it. 7 things that actually work for me when my family routine gets turned upside down, which is frequent and often. Look, transitions are messy and exhausting, and that is totally normal, okay? That is just part of life, that is part of our motherhood. The goal isn't to control everything. It is to guide your family through changes very gently while taking care of yourself too. So try these, maybe one at a time, maybe a combination, maybe try all 7. See what works for your family, adjust as you go, and just be patient with yourself. Every small step helps everyone feel more grounded and less overwhelmed. If you found this video helpful, you will want to check out this video next, which is a quick reminder on how we can take time for ourselves, even if we have a few minutes a day. I hope that you have the most beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.